Hey guys, this is Al again. Wanted to show you some of the other cars that I have. Usually these cars aren't at the shop so people don't see them because they're at the house, and I rarely drive them, the ones at the house, especially if they're in the garage, because it just takes too much effort to shuffle these cars around. So that this is one of these cars. It's my 2005 Mercedes Benz SL55 AMG. I've owned this car since 2014. And I've probably only put 3,000 miles on this car since I bought it. It hardly ever gets driven. I think I may have done maybe about 200 miles between inspections last year because it's always in the garage and I never drive it. But the car is actually wonderful. It's in fantastic shape. It's like a brand new car. I have to bring it to the shop today because I've got to take care of a couple of things that just have been deferred. Haven't done an oil change in about 4 years. I also started seeing some ABC faults the last time I drove it, as I was going over bumps. So I'm guessing that the accumulators are now shot. And I want to do a coolant flush and also take care of the vacuum cylinder that's over in my trunk, because the trunk lid doesn't shut properly. It requires a big slab. And that usually happens when the vacuum cylinder fails, and I bought a new one, so I'll go through that stuff in a bit as I walk through it. But here it is. It's a beautiful car. Most of the time it's kept in good shape, but this time I got some paw prints all over it. I have a cat that moved into my backyard, feral cat, and she's been hanging out there for the last, I don't know, a few months, and she just had a litter of kittens actually that live under my deck. So I'm not sure exactly what to do with those fellas, but I guess she's over there, her kittens are over there. They won't let me get near, and as soon as I open the door they take off, but I see them from the window and it's really entertaining to watch them. But anyway, going back to the car. So it's the interior. It's like a brand new car. The car's got 67,000 miles on it. I bought the car with maybe around 63,000 miles or something like that. Phenomenal shape. The only money I've had to spend on it since I bought it was the supercharger belt pulley broke. Actually broke while I was driving it, and I've had to replace that and replace the belts, and that's really it. That's really all the money I spent on it. I also had to put a high-level brake light on it only a couple of weeks ago to get it through inspection, and the reason behind that was that it would, just slamming the trunk shut to get the trunk shut would just cause it to break. So fixing that trunk mechanism is going to help me a lot. When I bought the car, the soft top wouldn't work, and I found out that there's a plug over here. You can see somebody's been in there trying to mess around with it, but there's a plug behind this panel that was disconnected. I reconnected the plug, everything started working again. But somebody, obviously, when I bought the car, the hard top wasn't working, and somebody tried to get in there and fix it by splicing those wires, which wasn't the right thing to do. Apart from that, there's the old third level brake light, so you can see where it broke, and that's just purely from smashing the trunk lid down to get it to function properly, which I hate doing, but it is what it is. You guys that don't know what the SL55 is, it's what they call the R230 Mercedes Benz SL. This is the model that came out in, I think, 2002 as a 2003 model year car. Mine is obviously a 2005. It was kind of a revelation when it came out. It had a whole bunch of really advanced features. ABC suspension, which is the active body control. This thing doesn't have sway bars. It's a fully active suspension system that runs for hydraulic shock absorbers, and they basically keep the car level and flat through cornering. Fantastic system when it works well, but when it fails, it can be super expensive to fix. This is why I'm trying to replace the accumulators, because in most cases when it does fail, it's usually because the accumulators are shot, and then you go over a bump and it causes a huge spike in pressure and it causes the lines to blow, and then the system runs at around 3,000 psi, and as a result it would drain the system in a matter of seconds and ruin the pump and everything else. So the best thing you can do for this car is preventive maintenance, and it's just stay on top of fluid changes and replace accumulators when they go bad, which is why it's over here at the shop today. Also uses like a brake-by-wire system called SBC. That system works well when it works, you know, but again, it's been prone to failure. A lot of SBC pumps fail. Mercedes Benz issued an extended warranty on these. I got a letter in the mail about 1.5 years ago saying that they'll extend the warranty for 25 years and an unlimited mileage. So you know, even now that the car is 15 years old, you know, I still have a good warranty for 10 years on the SBC pump, so I'm pretty pleased about that. What else? Okay, let's pop the hood and see what's going on under the hood. So again, this is the 230 model. The S55 AMG is the AMG version of the car, and this uses what they call the M113 engine. It's a really reliable, robust engine that they bought out in the late 90s, around the 98 model year. They bought it out in the original R129 SL, like the final years of that model, and also in the CLKs and the W210 E-Class, and the new version of the S-Class when that came out, the W220. I've owned several cars with this M113 engine. They're Toyota reliable, very powerful, very smooth, very engines. The only complexity about them is that they have twin spark system, so they you need twice the amount of spark plugs to replace when it's time to change them. This version is a supercharged version of that same engine, and the normally aspirated S500s and the SL500s make about 302 horsepower. This beast makes closer to 500 horsepower. I think it's like 498 or 493 horsepower, I'm not sure exactly, but it's plenty. So beautiful engine, you know, fast as all hell, just a very reliable engine. Again, the only thing that I've had to replace is this guy over here, the supercharger pulley. It's a twin pulley setup, and one of the pulleys is made out of plastic, the other one's made out of metal, and the plastic one disintegrated on me while I was driving. So I ended up having to fish a bunch of belt material from the car, and you know, replace both belts and the pulley, and ever since then it's been fine. Now apart from that, I mean, I haven't really done anything else to this car. It's been super reliable and a great car. Right now the battery's dead on my remote key fob. I can't lock the door and unlock it, but I'll get that fixed in a jiffy. So inside, I mean, a lot of people say that the fit and finish on these cars isn't great, but I think, you know, on this particular model it's in fantastic. You know, the fit and finish is in fantastic shape. Everything's stitched. I don't think it's leather, but I think it's synthetic leather, but it's all stitched. The dashboard's all stitched as well. It's beautiful. So everything's stitched. You know, there's Alcantara on the cluster bezel and on the headliner for the hardtop. This is, I don't know whether it's real aluminum or plastic aluminum, but it's you know, everything's nice. I mean, everything in this car, they say that this car came from an era where Mercedes Benz quality went down, but that may be the case with the E-Class, which, you know, I own an E320 CDI, and I think it's definitely not as nice as my E55 as far as fit and finish, but that could be because it's a lower end model. But in this car, I mean, everything's, you know, everything's just beautiful. It's just, everything's in great shape. What else is going on? So I've got a headlight warning light. I guess I may have lost a headlight or something, I'm not sure. It goes away after a while, so I've got to check that out. There's always something going on. See that? Service exceeded by 730 days. There's your problem. Right. That's tells you how badly I haven't driven this car. I hardly ever drive it, so yeah, it's kind of Hey guys, so the car's up in the air now. This is the SL55. One of the things that we found out, there was an issue with the battery. I guess the battery was completely dead. That's the rear battery over here. I'm not sure exactly why. I mean, that's a fairly new battery, and I had it on a trickle charger whenever I park it, but I guess it still failed. So I've replaced that battery with one that I had in hand, and the car's up in the air. I suspect that it's going to fix a lot of the weird issues that have been going on with this, because it's been really quirky. So these are the accumulators in the back. And you can see that there's one large one, and then there's one smaller one that's kind of tucked in behind these three hydraulic hoses, the big thick hoses. Vaughan, come inside the picture and tell me, tell us what you need to do here.
So we're going to be removing this whole assembly. There's a little rubber mount up here, and then you can see this little bottom bracket slides into the car's body.
Right.
So once we remove this, we'll probably take this line off of the valve block. This line also can come off of the valve block pretty easily. And we're probably going to try to leave these attached and carefully tilt it out, but we don't want to bend these hydraulic lines too much.
Okay.
And then we can remove the accumulators. So we've already checked the system pressure on a scan tool. There's zero pressure in the system, but we can crack loose. There's a fitting right under here with a cap on it. I can get the line on there. Right here, you can see this little pressure test port.
Right.
So we're going to crack that loose just to ensure that there's no pressure, although it should have depressurized by raising the car. So I guess we'll replace these two, and then...
So I guess the accumulators are completely shot, and that's why there's no pressure on the system, right?
Very likely.
Yeah, because you did that with the car on the ground.
Correct.
So so yeah, these are well due for replacement right now, and we'll get cracking and pull those out. These are the parts that I have in place. So I got two of these accumulators over here, the big ones, and then I've got the small pulsation dampener, and I have a ABC filter over here, and of course there's this big jug of CHF11 fluid. So I've been using this on my S55, and I've still got plenty left. That'll flush the suspension system on this SL as well. So hopefully this will address a bunch of issues. The car was running, the way it drives right now, it's as hard as a rock. So it really does pay to get it done sooner than later before something bad happens, because you can very easily blow a line if you're not careful.
And there's nothing to absorb those pressure spikes once the membrane tears.
Exactly. All right, so I'll let him get back up to it. I'll turn the camera off and then give you an update. So we're back at the accumulators have been done on the front and the back. So the front one's right over here behind this fender well. Right now what we've done is removed the ABC filter and replace it with a new filter. The next step is to basically drain the reservoir. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this vacuum pump to suck the fluid out of the reservoir, and then refill it with fresh fluid. And then we're going to take this hose and direct this hose to a bucket so that it flushes away from the car. So I'll know when the fluid's clear once I get clear fluid out of this guy. So that's the plan. All right, so I'm going to just turn the camera off, and we're going to get started, and then after that we'll do the rodeo. All right guys, so we've rigged this little hose that's going into this container. You can see that the fluid is actually starting to clean up pretty nicely, right? Isn't that clear right now?
Yeah.
So what we did is we drained the reservoir, and then we just redirected the filter line so that it starts draining the fluid. We've flushed the suspension, topped up the fluid. We've drained about this much fluid out. It's kind of nasty. So right now we're going to have to do the rodeo test. That requires plugging in the scan tool, revving the car up to about 3,000 RPM or 2,500 RPM, I can't remember exactly, and then activating the rodeo. And then once we finish doing that, then we'll check the level and make sure that the level's still where it should be. And then we should be good to go at that point. What are the pressure readings?
About 2,700 to 3,000 psi.
All right, that's what it should be. So that's good.
So the test is through. It's not moving. So.
Okay. All right, great.
So we'll just check for codes, which it might have from starting it with low fluid. And we'll clear codes if it has any stored codes.
It's probably got a pile of stored codes, but what does it got?
And a lot of these were probably from that battery being bad.
Okay.
Well. We had no issues with it.
It's going to read codes again?
Yeah.
No faults found. Fantastic.
So we can run it through another test, and we can double check it if we wanted to.
If you want what, another diagnostic test?
Or another active test.
Yeah, that's cool. Are you going to do another Rodeo?
Yeah, do one more, see if any codes come out.
All right.
Feel good about that.
No codes? Fantastic. Fantastic. Alright, so I guess we're done now. What we end up doing is we drained the reservoir, we took this line off, we directed it to a, where is it? That bottle over there, and basically filled it up with the engine running. And then we replaced the filter, put everything back together again, done the Rodeo test, made sure everything's working well. We had another issue where the car was acting really weird and it turned out to be a bad battery, so we replaced the battery as well. So all in all, seems like it was a good day. Thanks very much, guys. Bye-bye.